Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Boo-Foons, mystery investigators.
Welcome to the Boo-Foons Mystery Investigators. You should know by now that I'm Dan.
And I'm Steve, still Steve.
Yeah, we were here 2 days ago. It was Christmas Eve. It's now Boxing Day.
Ho, ho, ho.
Merry Easter, or whatever the time of year it is we're at. Christmas, of course.
Christmas. The best time of the year. Family, food, films,
alcohol.
That doesn't rhyme with F. You can't think of that.
It's fine. It's
fermented liquid.
Yes, it's fine wine.
Fine wine. Okay.
Trades change because normally I'm shouting about beer.
Yeah.
Which people don't realise who were listening 2 days ago on Christmas Eve that I was wearing a Le Chouffe hat, which was beer, but today I'm on the wine.
I thought it was a car. I thought it was a car brand, is it?
Le Chouffe is a little gnome in a brand of Belgian beer.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as the
might be a car as well, but
as the only non-drinker here. Well, I say non-drinker because when I'm with you, I tend to drink.
Most people, right, when they interact with me, they either start drinking to deal with me, or they just sort of look at me and run in the other direction. Yeah.
From looking at our viewing figures, that's what everyone here's done.
Yeah. So sorry about that. Yeah, in the new year, you might want to find a new co-host.
Could never find anyone to replace you, Dan. There's not another Dan out there. That's for sure.
Dan Aykroyd.
Oh man, yeah, I'd dump you for Dan Aykroyd any day. The man drinks vodka. That's all he does.
I'm gonna casually name drop another podcast here, but Off Menu with James Acaster and Ed Gamble, the episode that Dan Aykroyd does of that, where he goes on to talk about his dream meal. And he thinks he's there just to promote his vodka. And the whole episode is him just going, I would have this food because it goes with this vodka. I would have this because it goes with this vodka. Oh, drink meal. Oh, yes, the drink part. I would definitely have my vodka. Vodka. Dan Aykroyd. Vodka. And then they're trying to talk to him about things like Ghostbusters and that. And he's just like, vodka. Yeah. And then it's when he gets to the end. And by this point, they're on episode 100 or 200 or something. So, and obviously they're both well-known comedians. And when they get to towards the end, he's just like, "Good luck with the project, boys. Whatever it is you're aiming to do with it." It's like,
was this before he did Ghostbusters Frozen Empire or after Frozen Empire?
I can't remember.
Because it's interesting if he doesn't even remember that James Acaster was in it.
It might have been before. Because the other one is the Paul Rudd one, where he sort of explains about the fact that he was told not to approach Paul Rudd because Paul Rudd was the main star, and Paul Rudd wanted to talk to James because he's a big fan of his work, but he kept wondering why James Acaster kept avoiding him, and then eventually one day they just spoke to each other.
And he told him that he was told not to speak to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's two celebrities I do like. And Dan Aykroyd, but yeah, I do like James Acaster and I do like Paul Rudd, and I think they're very interesting people. I think James Acaster would make a good Doctor Who.
Yeah,
maybe even Paul Rudd would make a good Doctor Who.
I like the Paul Rudd Halloween costume where his daughter has dressed up as Wasp, clearly wanting her dad to be Ant-Man, and he's there. I think he's something like Captain America or something completely random, or Weird Owl, or he's some sort of completely non-related thing. But she clearly wanted to dress up as Wasp to be with her dad, who is Ant-Man. Anyway, normally we do the randomness towards the end of an episode. Instead of doing it towards the start. It's
Well,
clearly the
that's
fact that we've had Christmas and we're
yeah.
full of food, full of
Everyone,
alcohol.
everyone else is asleep.
Yeah, no one's actually listening to this because it's
Yeah.
Boxing Day. But well, today we are actually talking
I
about
was going to
something.
say no one's actually listening to this because it's our podcast. That's
Well,
okay.
that too.
But if you're
Um,
listening, thank you very much.
yeah. At least
Thank
we're
you.
self-aware. At least we're self-aware. Hopefully Father Christmas has brought loads of cheer in the fact of loads of promotion, and hopefully this is the episode that everybody's going to in their hundreds and millions are going to come and listen to. But today we are talking about something that did happen.
That was all you wrote on your Christmas list, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just, it was Dear Father Christmas. Please, I've been a very good boy this year. Please bring me listeners on Apple Music, listeners on Amazon Music, listeners on Spotify, listeners on Podbean, listeners on our website. Listen, and it was just listeners, and it was just a long list of every single podcast platform that we're on. And then I then got into the followers on social media and started going followers on Instagram, followers on, and then it got into, you know, I want this many subscribers on this tier at Patreon, this many subscribers on this tier of Patreon. That was my entire Christmas list. So if Father Christmas
Yeah.
doesn't deliver in that, then
Well, that's it. That's the thing. All you got was a satsuma and a lump of coal. I mean,
yeah.
you just asked for too much there.
I'm starting to think
Just
that Father Christmas isn't real.
yeah, I'm not gonna. Father Christmas is real, Dan. Don't worry, it is real.
Well, he didn't bring me my Christmas list, did he?
Or even a single listener on Amazon Music. That's what that
Yeah.
That's why you pushed it too far.
Yeah. Well, this year was the first year I didn't bother asking for a girlfriend.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
Dan, I feel so sad
Oh!
now.
Yes, well, now you're feeling sad. Let's talk about some aliens. Because on Boxing Day, in the year 1980, aliens were seen over Suffolk. Notice how this time I didn't boo when I said Suffolk.
I
See?
know you're getting better. Yeah.
See, I'm getting better. I'm slowly starting to accept the people of Suffolk as being humans. Um, so this was in Rendlesham, to be exact, which isn't far from Woodbridge, or actually, I will tell you where it is near. It's near Aldborough, which when I last visited my grandparents, we went to Aldborough because we were told that some of the best fish and chips in the UK were available in Aldborough. And we went, and guess what? They were the best. Well, as you know, I'm not a big fan
Really?
of fish and chips, right?
Yeah.
Went to a fish and chip shop there, and they cook all the fish and all the chips in proper beef dripping.
Oh, that's the
So
best
it's
way. This is the only
proper
way.
old-fashioned fish and chip style, and they were the most amazing fish and chips I've ever had in my life. The chips were nice and crispy and fluffy in the middle. The batter on the fish was actually stuck to the fish, and as you cut into it, it made a noise. Oh, it was. I cannot explain how delicious these fish and chips were, and
Oh, yes.
I would never be able to
Oh.
eat fish and chips again from a fish shop, from a fish and chip shop, because they all use oil, and oil is horrible. It makes all the chips soggy and makes the batter on the fish. It's horrible. So fish and chip shops across the country, stop using oil. Please go back to beef dripping and things. You know?
Swaffham in Norfolk. There is a little chip shop there. I think it's Mother Hubbard's. I could be wrong, but I think it's Mother. And again, they do it in beef dripping. You can smell it down the street. It's just stunning. It's just, and so tasty. They mash their own mushy peas and they make their own tartar sauce. I can't have it anywhere else. And do you know what? To be absolutely honest with you, I would rather eat fish and chips like that than the traditional Christmas dinner and have all the leftovers and all the fuss with Christmas dinner. Give me fish and chips in beef dripping with homemade tartar sauce and homemade mushy peas, and it would be amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and it's Mother Hubbard's, honestly. So if anybody passes by Swaffham in Norfolk, You don't have to go to Suffolk for this.
Yeah, well, this is the Golden Galleon where they've got actually two shops. They've got one that is just purely fish and chips, and then they've got another where it's fish and chip shop at the bottom, restaurant above, where it's just the food from downstairs brought up to you on a plate. Yeah. Anyway, it's not far from Aldborough, so if you want to go and see where the aliens were seen, you can go to Aldborough, have some excellent fish and chips.
I think we should carry on talking about food.
Yeah.
What do you have? What do you have for Christmas dinner traditionally?
My parents I go to my parents nearly every year. That's one of the reasons why I would love to find and start a love life, so I don't have to always go to my parents. Sorry, mum and dad, if you're listening. But and it changes every year. Yesterday we had turkey. In previous years, we've had cockerel. All comes to the local butcher. We've got a butcher in the village next to where my parents are that every year raises loads of turkeys, cockerels, chickens. So some years we have turkey, some years we have cockerel. We've had beef and that before, but yeah, as a child, it used to just be chicken. So we'd have chicken on Christmas.
Want to know what's the difference between turkey and cock? Cruel.
Well, cockerel is a male chicken, and turkey's a totally different bird.
No, I mean taste-wise. What's a cockerel taste like?
Cockerel tastes just like chicken.
Okay.
There's very little difference between male and female there. Yeah. Whereas turkey is
plain, boring, dry. Oh, turkey! God, why do people?
Not if you cook it properly.
It's just never good. We do duck.
If you cook turkey properly, it's delicious. But it tastes more like the darker meat that you get on a chicken, as opposed to how chicken tastes. I do like duck though, but
duck's great.
Yeah.
So, what did you have for Christmas dinner? Leave it in the comments below.
Yes.
There we go.
Well, traditionally as a child, we used to have chicken on Christmas Day, and then we'd have gammon or pork on Boxing Day, because that would be when my dad's parents and my grandparents, so my dad's parents would turn up, and my nan didn't like poultry, so she wouldn't eat chicken. Wouldn't eat. I have no idea. So we used to just do gammon.
She get attacked by a chicken because they're quite aggressive.
No idea.
You should ask her.
She's dead.
We got Ouija boards for that. We know where we got Ouija boards. We've got to use them properly.
Yeah, let's do a seance and ask her. Yeah. Anyway, shall we get back to this story
back to Rendlesham Forest.
Rendlesham Forest.
Rendlesham.
Now, these were a series of reported sightings of lights, and it was in December 1980, but the most notable one, where it started on Boxing Day. So 26th of December 1980, around 3 a.m. in the morning. And a security patrol near the gate of RAF Woodbridge, which is right at the edge of the Rendlesham Forest, saw some lights descending into the forest. These lights have been they were sort of just floating into the forest. They didn't know what they were. And the servicemen thought that it was an aircraft and that it had been shot down or crashed. So therefore they went into the forest to investigate. When they got there, they witnessed a glowing object that was metallic in appearance with coloured lights all over it. And as they approached the object, it started moving through the trees, and animals on a nearby farm went into absolute madness and chaos.
Mustn't forget this was also a triangular-shaped UFO, and which is very important because triangular-shaped was getting big around the time then, which is it's big again at the moment. Triangular, and it's of course the shape of the one I saw in the 90s.
Yes, and the other episode that we did on Phoenix Lights in America, that was triangle.
Yep. There seems to be as many triangular UFOs as there are disc-shaped UFOs.
Yeah.
And there definitely seems a lot of evidence pointing towards the fact that these are things. Like I said, the whole Belgian Air Force, said that they actually released all their footage back in the 90s of triangular UFOs being chased. So
Yes.
there is a thing there with triangular craft. But yeah, sorry, let me get
Um,
back to you there.
no, well, one of the servicemen said that he had seen a craft of unknown origin in the forest. And at the time, he hadn't heard from anyone else when he was asked. So he hadn't heard about any of the lights until the point that he was asked about it. Um, at 4 a.m., the police were called to the forest, but the only lights that the police could see was from Orford Ness Lighthouse, some miles away on the coast. After daybreak on the morning of Boxing Day, servicemen went back to the forest to go and see if they could see anything of what they'd seen earlier that morning. And in the ground, they saw a triangular pattern impression in the ground and burn marks and broken branches on the nearby trees. The police were called again to look at the impressions, which the police basically said it was an animal. But there have been photographs which were supposedly taken of the landing site, which shows these weird triangular marks, which do not look like animal prints at all. So that was what happened on Boxing Day.
I'll say there's just a couple of things there. That I've seen the photos of the landing marks on these, and if I remember rightly, it's actually a very small object. It wasn't huge,
Yes.
and there's so many of these sightings again were just small. Now you just say it's a drone because they're small. They're very, very rarely these things like big enough to put a person in it.
Yes.
And this is again very small. Now you would have said that's for drone landing marks.
Yeah.
Again, it carries on now with the incredible amount of drone sightings, which no one can explain all around the world. Maybe that is the size of ship that does come landing every so often. Just tiny little things.
Yeah, and it is interesting the way how they saw the light very obviously going into the forest, descending into the forest. They saw a metallic object with lights
Mm.
on it. And then when they went back the next day, there was proof of it being there. But then the
Yeah.
police said, no, it's the lighthouse.
But the thing is, right, one of the witnesses, so there was two witnesses amongst this group who went out. What was they called? One was John Burrows and Jim Pennison. And Jim Pennison was actually aircraft crash investigator. So he wasn't just like a person, an ordinary serviceman. He was actually used to going out there and investigating things. So this isn't just like anybody. This isn't just your Joe Bloggs, Air Force officer. This is somebody whose job it was to actually go and view crash sites and knew exactly what they were looking at. They were trained. So this is somebody with some knowledge behind them. So you've got to be able to
Definitely.
take what they said as rather than just ignoring it and saying it's what they say, lighthouse lights. Maybe there's something in it.
Yeah, well, 2 days later, on the 28th of December, Charles Holt visited the site with servicemen in the early hours of the 28th of December. And they took readings, radiation readings in the triangle of depressions around the ground and recorded a slightly higher amount of radiation than the other areas of the forest, but we're not talking massive, massive amounts of radiation, but there was slightly more than the others, than the background level in the area. And they then managed to find a small burst over half a mile away from the landing site. And Holt did record all of this throughout the investigation. And they then saw a red light across the field to the east, almost in line with a farmhouse that the witnesses had seen on the first night. But whereas the police had said they had seen the lighthouse, they could see the lighthouse lights in the same line of sight. So they could see the lighthouse and this flashing red light. Yes, in the same direction, but at two different points. On top of that, he also saw three star-like lights in the sky, two to the north and one to the south. So again, triangle. 10 degrees above the horizon. And he said that the brightest of these hovered for 2 to 3 hours and seemed to beam down a stream of light from time to time. So that happened 2 days after this initial sighting.
And of course, like I say, he was a ranked officer. He is somebody who should be considered reliable. And all these people should be considered reliable because they had nothing to gain and everything to lose in what they were saying. And it doesn't, to me, it doesn't seem like, why would you go out there on Boxing Day and a couple of days later just to, as a laugh, and come up with these ridiculous stories, which people think ridiculous stories. There's a lot of, like I said, there was physical evidence. There was apparently Lieutenant Holt recorded a memo as he was going. He recorded it all audio. So apparently there's audio reactions there's an audio tape of his real-time reactions of what he's seen at the time.
There is, and a transcription. Both of they have been released, so people have got them.
Now, the thing that gets me, one thing I find is really weird with this, you're looking at it, and for some reason they've always called it the UK's or Britain's Roswell. And I don't know why, because there was no crash and there was no retrieval of alien bodies. No. There was just sightings. It's nowhere near a Roswell type incident here. We're talking just about a sighting and a potential landed craft. But no one got close enough. No one's, it's frustrating again, but it's definitely not a Roswell type incident. If anything, it's just the only thing that gives us more credibility is the type of people who saw it. Well, no, there was also police officers who saw it as well. So I think it wasn't just this group. There was also other evidence or other reports coming in from around the area. So I think there's police reports about it too.
Well, the police reports, which were released in 2005 under the Freedom of Information Act, said there were 2 officers that approached, and it says there was nothing to be seen, and he remains unconvinced that the occurrence was genuine.
Okay.
The immediate area was swept by powerful light beams from a landing beacon at RAF Brentwaters and the Orfordness Lighthouse. I know from personal experience that at night, in certain weather and cloud conditions, these beams were very pronounced and certainly caused strange visual effects. That's what the police file said. That's what.
But you would absolutely hope that airmen first class and crash investigators and lieutenants would actually be able to tell the difference between lights shining down from the sky, seeing different types of lights, seeing indentations on the ground, getting radioactive readings. That's a little bit different to a lighthouse a few miles away.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is in 2010, they actually got Holt to summarize again what had happened that evening and had to sign it. And some people have said, there's contradictions between what he originally said and what he said in that. But everyone's memory degrades over time. So you are going
30 years at that point. That's 30 years difference.
And somebody has said, Colonel Ted Conrad, because has criticised him the most, because Colonel Charles Holt also said that he fully believes that it was an extraterrestrial event and it was covered up by the UK and the US militaries. And Colonel Ted Conrad's problem with that is, how dare a military personnel say that his country and Britain both conspired to deceive their citizens over the issue, and that he should know better, and therefore it must be a hoax.
Well, we know it's a fact that the people aren't told what happens in so many cases. So to try to say that it's a hoax because we've got to trust what the government says, we know we don't do that. You're a fool if you trust what you're told. But yeah, the MOD investigated, said there was no threat to national security, but we know that they say that about everything. They couldn't say it's a weather balloon because we don't really have them over here, which they do in America. But then try to say, okay, it's a lighthouse. Oh, it's also a star, or it could be meteorites, or you've misidentified an aircraft. And then say years later, 30 years later, there's discrepancies in what they reported 30 years ago. And there's lack of hard evidence once, all that time has passed. Again, it just screams too much like, got to cover this up. Let's just
Well,
put enough doubt in here.
well, it's interesting you say about the cover up because one of the biggest things that people say make it a cover up is the military of defense file, and that there's a lot of evidence in there that suggests they've covered it up. However, here's where it gets interesting. The file was released in 2001 to the general public. Basically, all mention of this event was either internal correspondence, which was people saying, this is what we've seen, this is what we think we've seen, then responding, going, okay, cool, thank you for letting us know, there's no risk here. And then internal correspondence again saying, general public are asking about this, what should we say? And because the MOD had a statement originally after it was reported to them saying they don't believe it, they think it's, people playing a joke, they didn't take it seriously, so therefore they never investigated. They just thought it was the servicemen having a bit of a joke because it was Boxing Day, ha ha ha. So therefore they didn't ever investigate into it. So they had no information, only the correspondence that they were having between each other. So therefore, when it came to say stuff to the public, it was a case of, well, what do we say? Because we don't have anything. We've only got this letter that says that they saw something. What do you say to people? We don't know.
Yeah. So much easier to say, oh, it's nothing. It was nothing, rather than we didn't bother investigating, so we don't know. Which would be the truth. The truth would be we can't confirm it. We didn't even bother looking into it because why would we?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just so we see this again so many times how there's this complete lack of. We know that they investigate this thing all over the world. Every government investigates these things. We know they take it seriously. And we know they always give the same answer that it's nothing. It's nothing. It doesn't matter what you see, what you know, what evidence might be out there. Yes, there's so much fake. And all this information, you just need one little bit of disinformation. One bit of truth out there with 1,000 bits of stupidity, and no one's going to believe the truth. And it's, but yeah, it's kind of frustrating because I really don't think that these people, these soldiers, these airmen would have risked their entire careers making up stuff like this. It just, not especially with official reports. They have nothing to benefit. There's nothing to benefit them at all. And this is why pilots refused to talk about it for years every time they would see something, because they knew that they would be discredited and they would find it hard to get their pilot's license renewed. And they knew that airlines wouldn't want to hire them if they reported UFOs, or they wouldn't be taken seriously if they were in the military and reported it. But I think that changed. Obviously, that changed recently. I mean, it started with the Belgians releasing all their footage from their airmen when they saw stuff flying around that shouldn't have been flying around, and now they're releasing it all the time.
Yeah. Well, one of my favourite bits of this whole thing was, so David Clarke, a UFO researcher, found a story of people claiming that this is what it was. So apparently in August that year, the SAS parachuted into RAF Woodbridge to test the security at the nuclear site. The US Air Force had recently upgraded their radar and detected the black parachutes of the SAS men as they descended into the base. The SAS troops were interrogated and beaten up, with the ultimate insult that they were called unidentified aliens. To enact their revenge, the SAS gave the US Air Force their own version of an alien event. When December approached, lights and coloured flares were rigged in the woods. Black helium balloons were also coupled to remote-controlled kites to carry materials into the sky, activated by radio controls. And that was one of the stories that came out about this. Turns out David Clarke found many, many bits of evidence to prove that that was just a story that somebody told as a bit of a laugh. So that was a hoax, was the whole
It does sound quite expensive.
It is very far-fetched, isn't it?
Yes, it'd be fun. I like the idea of that, but I'm sure the SAS had better ways they could have got their own back.
Yes.
And it sounds very elaborate, doesn't it?
It does sound very elaborate. But it seems
quite heavy on resources as well.
Anyone that sort of says that it's a hoax tend to just keep going back to the fact that the police said it was the lighthouse,
Hmm.
and they keep going back to when it was only a couple of the Air Force people. Maybe it was this type of animal that left this track. Maybe it was this. But lots of people saying it was the lighthouse. A couple of people suggesting that it could have been a Russian spy satellite, but
What,
um,
landing in the woods,
yeah,
then just taking off and flying away again? I would be more concerned if they had that technology 30 years ago, 45 years ago. If they
well,
could
exactly.
land a satellite in the woods outside a couple of Air Force bases, then take off and fly away again, that's a bit more concerning, even than aliens. What about Pennison's notebook? Did you find anything out about that? Because that's quite a fascinating bit, which is something that's been used to debunk the whole thing.
No, I haven't
Because,
seen about that.
okay, well, Penniston, he claimed that he touched the object. And having been touched, after touching the object, well, others only claimed they saw the object. He later on said he touched the object. And he said then binary code was sent to him with a psychic reading or something. I don't know. And he then wrote a message down in his notebook of just ones and zeros. And
Okay.
the ones and zeros, basically, when it was deciphered, came out with a message, something. He says, so it was, what was it? Exploration of humanity continuous for planetary advance is basically the message he came out with, all in binary. It said he included coordinates of the Great Pyramids of Giza, the Nazca lines, and Sedona, Arizona, all sort of UFO hotspots. But the trouble with that is he didn't come out with that until decades later.
Okay.
So he didn't come out with it initially. That was something and that's the kind of thing you would bring out to discredit. That would be perfect disinformation.
Yeah.
Yeah, how better to say something isn't right than suddenly you get one of the people to announce something absolute nuts in 2010. Decades after the actual event, which is just complete nonsense. And say something when everybody says they just saw it. Initially, you just saw the lights. Now, 30 years later, you said you touched the object, and you were telepathically led to, given all these binary codes that came out with these random words and coordinates.
Yeah.
And that would have guaranteed. I can't find anything out about it at the moment, but guaranteed that would have come out with a book at the same time. He would have. He would have. Let's have a look. Let's see if he has actually. Let's see if he's actually released a book around 2010.
Well, talking of lights and everything, at the after our last podcast episode, I thought, as loads of ghosts come out at Christmas Eve, I'm going to spend all night looking for a ghost. And I saw an alien. I saw a UFO.
Okay.
I was sitting outside waiting for a ghost.
Okay.
And I was looking for one, thinking it's Christmas Eve. There must be a ghost because we've seen loads of ghosts that haven't on Christmas Eve. And I was listening and I could hear bells, very faint in the distance. And then they got louder and louder and louder. And then, as they were at their loudest point above my head, and I could see one very clear red light right at where this thing was. And as it moved over, I then heard a noise, almost sound like somebody saying no.
No, no,
So
no.
yeah, so I think somebody had been kidnapped by the aliens, and then I then saw some stuff falling out of the back into the chimney of my parents' house.
Please tell me that it was then chased by a number of Black Hawk helicopters who opened fire on it.
Now that was when it got over America and it crashed in Central Park, and everyone had to sing Christmas carols to spread Christmas cheer so it could take off again.
Uh, well, yeah, that's the kind of thing that people talk about that discredits everything, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
now if you say you actually did see Santa Claus, no one will believe you because you saw a crazy UFO.
yeah, but I did see Father Christmas, and I've got the proof because when I woke up yesterday morning, there were presents under the tree.
Ah, damn. That's cool. That's cool. Don't
Yeah.
believe you though. That sounds like disinformation to me.
Yeah, because, well, as we know from these two Christmas specials, ghosts are on Christmas Eve, aliens are Boxing Day, and today's now Boxing Day, so it couldn't have been an alien. Yeah.
Apparently, did you know that the last book, or one of the most recent books by Jim Pennison, was actually released in 2019 about Rendlesham, but he's still going on about it.
Oh, wow.
So he released a book in 2014. So he didn't release one in 2010 that I know of, but the one he released in the book that he co-authored was with John Burroughs, who he saw the original sighting with, and Nick Pope, the former UK Ministry of Defence UFO investigator,
Oh,
who
wow.
apparently, when he was doing it, he was the only investigator that the Ministry of Defence had one person. And I think he did say that he was just basically told everything that came in, find a way to debunk it.
Oh,
That's what their investigation was. Nick Pope is really interesting that he's actually, I think pretty much says it's all just a cover up. There's everything's been covered up, and governments will just cover everything up. It'd be interesting to find out, do maybe a whole episode on Nick Pope and his history.
yes.
And if anybody needs to find a good UFO book full of declassified information, there's a book called Above Top Secret by Timothy Good, which was written many, many years ago. I used to have it in the 80s. The cases, UFO cases, including Rendlesham and Roswell, and there's so many cases in that book. And it's a huge book, and it's full of information, all the classified and declassified files they could get at the time. Timothy Good was, as I remember rightly, he was like an admiral in the army or the air force in the UK. He was on the
Okay.
navy, whatever. He was a very high-ranking officer and investigator. So Timothy Good, Above Top Secret, is a great book to ask for Christmas next year if it's still published, because you'll find out so much stuff. And the thing is, you read through that book, and he does point out the stuff that's nonsense, but also when it's something that's clearly there's something there, he'll say it.
Yes.
I think it is a great book. I just don't know if it's still available anymore. But definitely one for the Christmas list if it is.
Yes. Got to wait a whole year for it, but put it on your
Yeah.
Christmas list. Put
Well,
it
there's
on there now.
birthdays in between. But
Yeah.
birthdays.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll put it on your birthday list. Unless your birthday's today or tomorrow, then it's probably a bit late. But
You're probably
yeah.
really miserable as well if it is, because nobody ever remembers your birthday.
Or just, bite yourself.
Oh, there you go. It's free. There you go. Free on Kindle. Treat yourself today. Above Top Secret, free on Kindle.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I haven't got anything more to say about Rendlesham.
What do you think it happened?
Well, it seems a bit. It's one of those things of they saw the light come over, they saw it go down, and there were burn marks and things. It's either a very elaborate hoax, or there's some sort of credit there of something did happen.
It is unusual, though, for the military to actually hoax something for a laugh. Civilians,
Yeah,
anybody else who's got something to gain. But that's just
yeah,
the thing that gets me. Especially when you're talking, these are two pretty high and top security bases. These
yes,
aren't places you'll just have a lunatic working who will just make up stuff like this because they could ruin their entire careers.
yes, and yeah, because they'll be thrown out for being a bit bonkers.
Yeah.
Because they'll be like, "Oh, we can't trust you with a weapon."
And especially this era as well, when in the heights of the middle of the Cold War, there was
Yeah,
huge tensions, and you could there could be more problems. There's going to be a lot more investigation because it is in the height of the Cold War.
it
So
is.
it's
Yeah,
very unlikely that somebody would just make this up for shits and giggles just because they were
yeah.
bored on Boxing Day. And then for it to continue over 2 nights with different people going out to see it.
Yeah, there's got to be something there. Got to be something there.
Yeah. And I really think that when people think maybe there's something there, when you see what people are using to debunk it, the usual thing. It's a lighthouse that was miles away.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can see what a lighthouse is. Everybody knows what a lighthouse looks like from that many miles away, even with refraction or whatever might have been going on. It's never going to look like beams of light coming down from the sky.
yeah,
It's definitely not going to look like an object that's landed and left imprints on the ground. It's there's it's a weird one again. It's such a sort of desperation of people saying there's nothing to look, nothing to see here.
Yeah.
I yeah, I don't. I think there is a lot of people making stuff up still, especially if it's say disinformation, but or just to make a name for themselves. But you wouldn't do it if you're in the military.
No. Right.
So I think there has to be something there.
I think there's definitely got to be something there. And I think it's one of those things that nobody is ever going to be able to explain.
Because there wasn't a proper investigation.
Yeah, so they don't really know unless it happens again.
Yep. But it's never happened since, which...
Well, nowadays, considering what's not far from there, nowadays they can just say, oh, it's radioactive stuff from Sizewell.
Yeah.
Nowadays they can just blame that.
And the only reason I talk about, this, like, there's got to be something there because, again, what I saw when I told you about my sighting before, that it was something so real that it was so real and it was so wrong. It just didn't make sense. This wasn't just a light in the sky. So I would never just discredit something, even with some of the ghost stories. Now, after we went on our ghost hunt,
yes, after the ghost hunt earlier this year.
Yeah. We can't discredit every single ghost sighting as being nonsense. There's so many things we can't explain.
Yes. Well,
one of them is, why do people listen to this podcast still?
Or
why do more people not listen to this podcast?
Well, they're going to get the thing is, we've been very generous. We've had our normal Wednesday release 2 days ago. We've had today as a bonus because Boxing Day, why not? And we're back to normal service next Wednesday, which next Wednesday is New Year's Eve. So we are back to normal resume service of going back on a Wednesday. If you don't already follow us on all of the socials, please do. And do leave a comment. We want to talk to some of you that are actually listening. Let us know. Are you enjoying it? Are you not? It's going to be a new year soon. Let us know. We can sort some stuff out.
Yeah. And have you seen a UFO? Have you seen a ghost? Tell us about it. We might want to get you on.
Yeah, it'll be great. And if you're feeling very generous, because today is the day of Boxing Day sales, we've got a sale happening right now on our Patreon, where if you go on there and subscribe, you will get bonus content. Yeah. And for the bonus for the low price of £5 a month. Or more if you're feeling extra generous, you can actually see these videos, which means you can actually see the ridiculous Christmas jumpers we are wearing.
Mine's Beetlejuice. It's not ridiculous. This is actually my Halloween Christmas jumper.
Yeah, to be fair, yours is cool. Mine is really bad Christmas. Well, it's sort of like Christmas tree decorations, but not in any sort of shape. It looks like I've just put baubles on me.
It does, doesn't it? It's very festive, though.
It is very festive. Anyway, until New Year's Eve, stay spooky and keep an eye out for ghosts and aliens, and let us know.
Yeah, collect evidence.
Yeah, and let us know. Send it to us. Come on the episode. Talk to us.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, and we'll keep investigating. Right. Until next time, stay spooky, guys.
Bye. Bye.
Boo-Foons, mystery investigators.